Webent, my little side project here, a website for blogging about web development, web design, and creative production, such as game design, game stories, comic books, illustrations, all of it, the works, music, you name it. Of course, right now it's all just an idea. There's not much to it other than what you see right here on the screen. The illustrations, the design work that we've done yesterday for a couple hours just to kind of sketch up some ideas and get a very basic design sort of laid out and started. So more or less we've defined what the site header is going to look like, the site footer, and what kind of content we're going to be filling in the first homepage. However, we've only really defined it for desktop. We haven't defined it for mobile devices yet, but that's okay. We're going to do a quick update to show how I'm going to basically take this desktop design and apply it for mobile. So here we go. I'm going to first start off by essentially duplicating this artboard. I can do that by holding Alt and dragging and dropping it down and then naming it mobile. And there's an artboard tool somewhere around here. Is it crop? I guess you just grab it from up top. Or you know what? Let's go ahead and delete mobile. I'll just drag and drop it into the... Nope, can't do that. Can't do either of those. So artboard is under the move tool. I'm going to scooch over to the left, grab desktop, it would appear, and pop it over here to the left. So now we got mobile, and we got desktop. And properties. I don't know if that's a visual bug or... Let's see if I... Alright, just go back before I ever cloned the desktop. And let's just switch over to the artboard tool and click this. Okay. Odd. Huh. Is it the background? Okay. Background is just doing something weird there. So, background feels the need to go way down there. Whatever, I'm gonna hide the background. I was hoping I could keep it just one or the other, but oh well. Very odd. But I can... Alright. Well, actually I'm gonna unlock that. Let's go ahead and grab this. Use the guides to sort of... Let's turn snap on just to help us. There we go. Turn snap off. And we're going to switch back over to the move tool. I'm going to go ahead and play a little music in the background. Let's see. Lo-fi. Okay. Video game orchestra. I'm gonna go ahead and turn that down quite a bit. 8%. And I'll go ahead and lower that just a tad bit more. Down to 20. Now, it's unfortunate how bad that is. Let's try synthwave. Ambient. Yeah, I could do ambient. There we go. Okay. So we're going to name Artboard 1 mobile. Okay. And we're going to give it a width instead of a 1920 of, let's do 600. We'll keep the same height. No need to really adjust it. Let's jump into the desktop and grab. Need to get everything out of my way. And background. We're just going to copy that into mobile. Unlock it. Okay, cool. It is applied. So the thing about the background, we could make it where it contains and stretches, or covers, I should say, where it's wide enough to cover left to right, but on mobile it'll kind of get squeezed in. It'll be shrunk. And that can kind of be what we're going for, but could kind of not be. So let's see what the difference would look like, right? Just going to make 2 versions. Going to take one of the versions and shrink them down to there. I'm also going to go ahead and switch over to the crop tool. Just crop all of that off. Artboard. Okay. Accidentally smudged it. That's kind of hard to see there, but yeah, one is a lot easier to see than the other. So instead of containing it, I think we're going to have the background remain its normal pixel size. And it'll just repeat if it has to. If it's not wide enough or whatever, it'll just repeat itself. But as it gets smaller, we don't really want to lose that background-esque. Now, for some reason, I feel like I can't see it over here on desktop. It doesn't look like it's there. Oh, it's not. I accidentally somehow moved it. The heck? I'm holding there. Even though I was holding Alt while moving it to another artboard, it just decided to move it. Yeah, so you can kind of see some lines, some noise. Keep that same noise here. We're going to also unlock the site header. I'm going to copy it, pop it up into mobile. Now, I'm going to go ahead and relock it down here. Relock the background as well. Site header, copy, we'll get rid of copy. I'm going to jump in, I'm going to grab the logo, pull it out, and grab Nav, pull it over here. Okay, that was weird. Logo, name, social icons, come over here. Let's just put them there. I'm having a very weird visual bug where mobile keeps popping away. I just have to hide it, just reveal it, and fixes that. So, dividers, let's bring those over here. So header line is right here. So I think what we're going to do with the line is we're actually going to scale it down, up and down, depending on the size. So this may seem weird, but as the header, the site header, shrinks down, if the line doesn't change its boldness, doesn't change its shape to keep the same aspect ratio, it's going to kind of morph, and it's going to squeeze together whilst keeping that same height, and it's going to look weird. So it's better that we have it scaled down to adjust with the actual mobile design. Okay, so I'm going to do that by just grabbing the corner and shrinking it down. Now it might be worth actually, I don't know, it might be worth making a new line, but well, let's just work with what we got here. It's not going to be that big of a deal. So I'm going to keep it just off from the center, perfectly align it centered. Logo, we're going to pull up here, and let's see. Auto select. Okay, I thought I had background. Oops. Background locked. Social icons. Nav, I'll go in there. Okay. I'm going to get rid of auto select so that way I can select these without having to actually select on top of them. Now the problem there, I'm not a huge fan, is that on mobile you got a big thumb. It's going to be impossible to select those, right? So I'm going to do something different for that. I'm going to turn auto select back on and grab Webent. So, sorry. We're going to scooch Webent pretty much all the way to the right. We're going to scooch the logo just next to Webent. And we're giving a lot of space over here in the top left corner. It's typical to put the hamburger, as it's called, which is a universally known icon for opening a mobile navigation bar. So we're going to do that. I'm just going to go ahead and close these. Much like we did yesterday, I'm going to jump over to Font Awesome. I'm going to borrow their icon again. Don't go to font-awesome.io. It's fontawesome.com. Icons. Search for hamburger. Oh, I am pretty tempted to use an actual hamburger. You know, yeah, I'm going to use an actual hamburger. I'm going to download that. Agree. And let's see, Creative Cloud, Webent, Media, Assets. And this, we got socials, we got SVG. Those are the ones that we were creating. I'm going to make another folder. I'm going to do icons. I'm going to throw social into icons since they are social icons. And then hamburger solid. While I'm at it, I'm going to go ahead and grab these bars, which is what Fontawesome would call it. Everybody knows it's a hamburger. I'm going to download those as well. Alright, so then I'll jump back over here, open up a projects folder. Gosh. When working on a Windows system with a Mac computer, I always find it such a difficult task to get those edges. So assets, icons, social, and then hamburger, oh wait, no, not social, hamburger solid. Pop that boy in, shrink them down, plop them there. Shrink it down just a tad bit more, a tad bit. Okay, well, I may decide not to go with the actual hamburger icon in the end, but for now, it's fine. Alright, so we had these separated by the dividers before, but this time we're going to stack them like such. And I don't think we might be able to use the same dividers. May not need dividers really, to be honest, but if it works, it works. It works. Okay, cool. I'll grab all those. Left align perfectly center. Okay. And that's that. One of those dividers. Throw that in Nav as well. Okay. Oop. Let's grab by group. Okay, well, grab the whole thing, move it up. Okay, I just wanted Nav. Okay. Oh, boy. Right, layers, I guess. Grab all of them layers. Don't know why I'm having such a difficult time moving this. Okay, so these are going to pop out right here. We're going to increase their size a tad. Not that much. Increase the size to there. Okay. I'm gonna round it off to 30s. .30 points, or it's going to equate to 30 pixels. Because the header is still, I believe, 75, yeah. Something was 32 before, and I want it to be slightly smaller. Okay, now for these bad boys, the social icons, I'm going to turn off auto select, and they are going to go on the right side. I'm not really too worried about what order they're in at this point. Although I do want to make sure. Select all of them. Yeah, actually, in this case, I think I do want just the head there. I'll accept that one. Okay. So what's going to happen when you open the navigation, none of this is going to show, and then the line this line is going to pop down below and all will show. That's how it'll work. Ay, ay, ay. Okay, auto select, unselect. Okay. So I might do one little extra line for when it is open. And that one line, I'm going to pop over on top of this. It's basically just going to go... Or even, you know what? Perhaps this one will stay up at the top. Right about there. And instead, when you open it, it'll be... We'll have one line here. Just kind of... like either of these two, to be honest. I think I'm going to use this one. I like that one the most. There we go. Got a line for when you open it. A new line. I'm going to grab that. Copy it out. Make a new. Pop this into sketches. Although, I probably should make a sketches folder for this. Here into sketches. Auto select off. This will go about right there. We'll make sure it's centered. Okay. There we go. That's how it's going to look on mobile. Now, I will probably block these off a little bit more, make it where when you hover over them, it's a little bit more defined that these are each. You give them a little bit more space, make it easier to select them. But yeah, when you open, I think I'm going to have just this line sort of fade in. This will be super easy animation, and the rest of this is going to be dragged down. This will probably, as it fades in, will drag down with it, and I guess, you know what, it's going to push the content down. It's not going to overlap. Yeah. maybe it will overlap, because sometimes pushing the content down can be real annoying. So yeah, I think it'll overlap. So it'll probably use just the canvas, and I guess maybe a line with like a box shadow or something. I don't know. We'll figure it out. This is all subject to change, so let's go ahead and make that line an asset. Assets, vectorizing assets. Oh, you know what? Let me make sure that this is all running smoothly. I'm gonna pause the music and come back over here. Check on Facebook. Oh wait, no, this was yesterday's stream. Reload. Alright, cool. Alright. Okay, Illustrator is open. Turn the music back on. Nice, chill. Artboard. Drag and drop. Okay. I can't move it. I can nudge it, I guess, with the keyboard. Alright. Cool. Let's go ahead and modify this. That was definitely not a big enough artboard that it thought I needed. I can't move the artboard for some reason. Oh boy, look at all this. Where did this artboard come from? Or this artboard? Still can't seem to move this artboard. Oh, because there's more artboards inside. What is going on? Alright, I'm not too sure what is going on here. Having an artboard crisis. Let's just make a new artboard there. Let's come over here, use the move tool, drag it over. Alright, well, odd. Can't seem to use the mouse for this, so I'll just use what works for now. Keyboard. Okay. Cancel. High fidelity photo. Just gonna play with these, see what makes it look good. kind of like that. Okay, and then it's object, image trace, expand. Double click to get in there, and then we can click in. Still can't move this guy. All right. That's kind of odd. You know what? Join those. Delete all those that are. And then join these. There. Just go ahead and connect those. I guess I could have just used this tool earlier to. So that sort of kind of optimizes it in a sense. The less points, the less code it's going to take to represent it. Oh, yeah. There, freaking habits of Mac bleeding into Windows, making life harder. Zoom out. Just nudge it back down. Artboard. Paint squiggle. Export for screens. I'm going to grab that one, but we are going to not include bleed. And we are going to do SVG again. Exit artboard. And in SVGs, we should have paint squiggle. Cool. Alright. So, I'm going to go ahead and save our Illustrator. This up here. Okay, well that's... We're going to have to re-export. So this is now just that. This whole... Okay. Let's save it. And file. Export for screens. Everything should already be good to go. So just export, replace. Cool beans. Good to go. Alright. We're going to close that. And we are going to export these for reference. So I'm going to go to File. I'm going to export. And Artboards to Files. You know, actually, before I do that, I'm going to just jump down here, grab the Artboard tool. Actually, I guess not the Artboard tool, but rather the crop tool. Grab mobile, crop, and just bring it up. There's no point in having a whole lot of empty space down there. Take logo, sort of nudge them down. Go down at 100%. This is what it'll look like. Okay, so then from here, because because this is like twice the width of an iPhone 10. The font, the logo, and the hamburger, they're all going to just sort of shrink down. Although I could do another design, I could kind of modify it so that the logo stacks on top of the name and hamburger stays in the corner. And it would be very unlikely that the hamburger would ever overlap the logo, but I could even make some breakpoints where the logo would push all the way to the right, hamburger would be all the way to the left. My initial thought and idea was that I was actually for mobile going to take the logo, put it down here in the bottom, kind of have like an Instagram layout where if you click the logo it'll extend the navigation from the bottom up. But just to keep things a little bit simple for the first iteration, I've decided to just go with this. It's straightforward, basic, and easy to manage, easy to handle. A lot of this I am going to be programming to change color when you hover over it. The social media icons, they're going to turn to the color associated with their platform. So whatever color their icon is associated with, then they'll turn into that color. But for the navigation and for the hamburger and everything else, it's just going to become a slight shade of gray. So you can kind of think of the logo right now as in a hover state. It just kind of turned into a slight gray. And I might also do a bit of text shadowing and box shadowing so that it kind of looks like it rises above. I might even sort of nudge it up to the top right and then add shadowing so that it kind of looks like the text sort of comes up a little bit and then goes back down. This is just to give you a visual cue that it's linkable and that you're actually active. So anyways, let's go ahead and proceed with the actual build. Oh, right, that's right. I'm going to save this and then I'm going to export Artboards to files, Webent, paintbrush mockup, overlapping areas, Artboard content only, file type PSD, we want JPEGs, run. Okay, that's weird. Artboards to files was successful. Oops. Go back into Webent, and then here we go. We got the desktop, which doesn't seem to have actually worked. It's only 346. Okay, well, alright. We've got desktop, we've got mobile, time to get started. There we go, this time it loaded. Time to get started on web development. Alright, so I'm going to use a local web development called Local by Flywheel. It's kind of new, to me at least. I'm pretty sure it's a few years old by now. But I also thought about using Flywheel for my web hosting. And the reason being is that Flywheel works in tandem with Local, where you can push and pull your site content up and down from the live site. And this would make it really easy for me to pull my site down onto another computer and to continue to work on the site files and everything from there. But I also want to use GitHub to help control or manage the version control of the actual development files. So sometimes, it might be ideal to upload the entire WordPress build on GitHub. Other times, just the WordPress theme that you're developing. In this case, I'm just going to do the WordPress theme I'm developing on GitHub, and then I'll basically have the WordPress build pushed up to Flywheel. Now, the thing about Flywheel is that I want to do... This is not the same web hosting by Flywheel. Get flywheel.com. The thing about Flywheel is to have a to host a multi-site, they really charge a lot. So for Tiny, you get a simple install. For Starter, you get a single site plan. Freelance, compare features. Where is multi-site? You have to have at least Freelance to have multi-site, which I just feel is pretty ridiculous. 20 gigs of storage, bandwidth of only 200 gigs. I'm not a fan. So we might, if I do go with Flywheel, I'm just going to do Tiny, and we're just going to do a basic build, and then I'll be looking to expand it into a multi-site build later, probably somewhere else, because $96 a month, that's just ridiculous, especially for what they're actually only 100,000 monthly visits and 200 gigs of disk space. I mean, this can easily get broken if something becomes popular enough and really takes off. And then to pay more than that, $250 a month for all of that, is just going to be, not worth it. So, yeah. For now, until we get it at a good state, we're just going to do a single site. Now, I've already got a environment situated and put together with Webent, but I think for the sake of this stream, I'm going to start fresh. Or, well, maybe not. Hold on. Let me see. I think I created a... Let me just pull this over here. Trying to figure out. Okay. Yeah, I did get this one set up on my personal. I'm going to go ahead and create a new one real fast. Use my Gmail account for this. Yeah, I'll just use my Gmail account. Send me occasional product updates. Nah. Please solve this puzzle so we know you are a real person. Fix the spiral galaxy? Oh, that's a first. What kind of work do you do? UX and design. Yeah. How much programming experience do you have? Say a lot. You plan. Create a website with GitHub pages? No. Collaborating with my team. Contribute to open source. Schoolwork and student projects? I guess. And I guess find and contribute with open source. Learn to code? Sure. Host a project? I guess I can only... yeah, okay, I guess I'll go host a project, repository, find and contribute to open source, and schoolwork and student projects. I am interested in WordPress, PHP, rig. CSS. Sorry, about to sneeze. Excusies. React, JavaScript. I think that's good. Okay. Go to Gmail. GitHub, verify email address. Sorry everybody, I know that I'm doing this off screen. It's just, for security reasons I don't really want to show all of my detail and whatnot. Alright, there we are. I'm on GitHub and I'm going to create a new repository. So I also have this app called SourceTree, which connects with GitHub and makes it pretty easy to pull and push stuff. I would say that GitHub's GUI isn't too bad either. I just feel like SourceTree is a bit more flushed out, and I can kind of get on board with SourceTree a little bit better. So this is the one that I had previously. So I'm going to start fresh. Hi. Close. Add. Okay. It's not letting me close this one. Close tab. Tools, options. Alright, so these are all of my other accounts. I'm going to go ahead and just add this new one. So host, Bitbucket. No, we're going to do GitHub again. Protocol, HTTPS, yes, username. I think I went with web 3 and T. Oh boy. Okay, that was weird. Alright. Password request. So now I put in my password. Authentication, okay. Alright. Cool. And I'm going to set that as my default. Alright. Cool beans. Close all tabs. Alright. Source tree. I was just talking you up, and now okay. Close. Dang you. Okay. Now in localhost, I am going to add a new site. I'm going to call it Webent. Advanced options is going to be webent.local. I'm going to have it in user account, local site, Webent. I don't have any blueprints to use, but I want to create this. I want to use this to make it into a blueprint. And then from there, we can then duplicate not only the theme, but all of the database configurations and backend configurations and everything to be reused somewhere else. Okay, Webent is already being used. Oops, that's not the folder I want local sites. So I'm gonna just rename this Webent-old since it's old. And in fact, I'm gonna go ahead and just delete that site entirely. Create a new site. Webent. Advanced options. Looks good. Preferred PHP 7.3.5 web server Nginx MySQL version 8. I'm going to go with preferred. No need to try to explore or anything that's not the preferred method. Just stick with what is known to work. So for username, I'm going to use Webent. Password, I'm just going to do I don't know. I'll just do Webent for the password as well. This is on my local machine, so it's not a big deal. For the email, I am going to use my actual email though. Yeah, I'll go ahead and just do. Email doesn't actually exist, but I am using a email URL that does. Now, this is also where it asks me if this is a WordPress multi-site. For this go, I'm going to say no. But I will be probably duplicating this and making a multi-site once I'm ready to build out Balance's project, which is going to be its own site so that it gets managed and everything on its own. I'm going to allow access. Starting it up. Now, I like to use WP-Rig as a theme generator because it uses very cutting-edge new technology. But you got to make sure you don't get it from its website. You got to get it from GitHub to get the newest version. I'm a fan of it, but it's difficult. It is super, super difficult. Let's see. 9 days ago. Wow. The first commit it's had since basically last year is just removing office hours from the contributing and readme file, which is unfortunate. I would really love to see this get updated, but it has kind of fallen off. The thing is I haven't really found anything that really compares. WP-Rig competitors. Martin Hendrickson, who's one of the heads behind WP Rig. WP Emerge, what's Emerge? I emerge every day. I use it and it's a joy to work with. MVP for WP development. Also the tooling is first class. Author of WP Emerge here. Coincidentally, I found this post just hours after 15.0 was released, which has a great number of new features, both the framework and the starter theme. Blog post here. WP Emerge. Let's see. So this is new. It's actually pretty well updated. But what is it? A micro framework which modernizes WordPress as a CMS development by providing tools to implement MVC and more. Integration is incremental. You can use it only on the pages you want or on all pages. If you've used frameworks such as Laravel Slim, Symfony, you will love WP Emerge. Also, make sure you check out WP Emerge starter plugin and starter themes. It requires Composer? Oh wait, yeah, so does WP Rig. Features and documentation. Completely open source and only create everybody's part of it. Yeah. Interesting. Well, this doesn't quite look like it's flushed out enough yet. But I have no idea how to even use this. Get started. MVC powered WordPress as a CMS workflow you'll never seen before. Very interesting. You know what? I might. SAS Plus post CSS for style sheets. Separate bundles are created for front-end Gutenberg and login pages and custom bundle. And easily added. This is pretty cool. I don't know, I kind of want to try this. I mean, I've worked with WP Rig now, and I've seen a lot of its downfalls and difficulties, but starter theme. They've taken over WordPress routing. It does not take over WordPress routing. It actively works with it. The only exception to this are hard-coded URLs explicitly added by a user. Reinventing WordPress APIs using object-oriented interfaces. Using a It doesn't want to reinvent WordPress's APIs using object-oriented interfaces, using a third-party engine by default. PHP by default in the same way WordPress does, but with added features. Using a third-party engine is entirely optional and requires installing an extension. Include most of Laravel or another framework. While inspired by Laravel, it does not come with any Illuminate packages. There are only two product dependencies: Pimple, single file PHP service container, PSR7. Okay, well, I am definitely going to keep my eye on WP Emerge. I'm gonna go ahead and throw this on my What the heck? Add. Sorry. Let's see. Add this tab. Alright. That was weird. You can typically drag and drop it. I don't know what happened there. This is the wrong website. This is the one I want. This has got to be the most thrilling thing anyone has ever seen. There, sheesh. WP emerge. Okay. Probably check this out at a later date. For now, we're gonna just use WP rig. Yeah. So I'm gonna download a zip because I'm gonna be basically forking it without forking it. I'm gonna just have it in my own. So Webent media, this is gonna be actually, I'm not even gonna make a folder in here for it. There's no point. Just local sites, Webent, app, public, WP content, themes, save. I'm gonna jump in here, open it up in folder. Oh, there we go. App, public, WP content, themes, and then WP. Oh, you gotta come on now. Huh. So there seems to be an issue with my mouse. It doesn't want to drag anything. I'm gonna unplug it. Plug it back in. Drag and drop just doesn't work right now. I can't seem to drag and drop anything if I use the mouse pad. No. Great. Oh. Let's cut this out because that's the actual theme. There we go. We're going to rename it to wp-rig-webent. And I am going to take the entire Webent folder. I'm going to pop it into Visual Studio Codes. I can't because I can't drag and drop. I don't know what is going on with that. So, just do it the old-fashioned way. I'm just doing all clicks. This is going to really hinder me once it gets to the point where I actually have to highlight code and stuff. Don't know why, out of all things, I can't highlight. Open window, new window. Close that one. Open folder. Local sites, Webent. Select folder. And now I'm going to need WP rig. GitHub open. WP content themes, WP rig, and then in the config folder is where we have our default configurations. We're going to go ahead and grab the opening. We're going to grab theme. We're going to grab pretty much all of this dev stuff. I'm going to copy it out. I'm going to go to config. And then I quickly deleted a comma here because it would normally want to do more options, but since that's the last option that I'm overriding in the config.json, I have to delete that comma. Slug, WP rig, I'm going to do Webent, name, Webent, author, I'm going to do I'm not going to mess with namespace. I think that has to stay the same. But Stephen Osborne is the author. As that is my name. Local, not .test. I don't think I need the port on the proxy URL since it doesn't use it. This is Mac. Bypass port. We're going to do 8181. So basically, when it loads WP rig.local, I can then add a port with colon 8181, and then that will be the browser sync port. HTTPS, I'm going to keep it false because even though local can handle SSL, and we could actually, I guess, just tell it to trust. It's going to run that. It's trusted now. Webent local.crt. Let's give it a try, actually. True. And then styles, stage 3, auto prefixer. Oh, shoot, I forget what stage means. I think it's like level of how many things. Auto prefixer grid faults. Import from custom media. Oh, this is going to handle how the breakpoints work with variables. So even though, and then, see, like there's a lot of features built into this that were for future proofing, and since it was built for future proof 2 years ago, I don't know how many of these features have either been abandoned or are still actually being looked at for implementation. Yeah, quick, I'm gonna smudge. Whoops, I'm gonna smudge my head over. It's about right there. Okay. So really don't need to do anything with that. Features, custom media queries true, custom properties true, nesting rules true. So debug styles false, script false, PHP/CS. I'm gonna keep that true. Yeah. So I'm not gonna be messing with features. I might adjust that, but auto prefixer, I'm just gonna keep that as is. So I gotta get rid of that comma. And if I wanted to affect the debugging, let's see. There's some other. There's export compress true. Yeah, we're gonna want it true every time. Generate pot file, which is for language translations. Yes, files to copy. That, which I'm not 100% sure. I think that's for when it's doing a public build or publish build, which extracts all of the source code and development code, so that the published theme is just all super lightweight and isn't bogged down with any of the developer code, which is what's really cool about this theme. I'm going to save. Now, the browser sync would typically be in a config.local.json file because it can vary depending on your local environment, but I only have one environment right now, so we're just going to go with it. Alright, so on localhost, or on local by Flywheel, I've already built the site, got it going, database, everything is all good to go, utilities, I guess mail hog. The email from a local site will be interpreted. Okay, cool. Sweet. So now we just click on View Site, and it will pull up our site in the browser. So this is a default WordPress. We can go ahead and get rid of that cache buster. Just do webent.local. No? Doesn't like it. https://webent.local. There. Now it's on HTTP2 and it's loading. Now I can do wp-admin to get to the admin login, and I made it Webent. Login. Super simple. Now I can go to appearances, and I have themes, and I can activate WP rig. Then I can click this to open another tab, and we can see how it looks on the front end. Now, it really actually shouldn't look like this, but I haven't actually initialized Webent yet, or the WP rig build yet. But before I do, I'm going to set it up to actually be tracked by source tree. So, I think I'm debating about whether or not, because I don't think it actually can be pulled down from GitHub on local without it having to be built by local. So, yeah, I'm only going to worry about the theme files. This theme is meant to operate on every site. So if I have to rebuild the actual content and everything, then that will suck. But right now there isn't really any content to worry about. What I need to worry about is the theme that's being built. So I'm going to just focus on that. So I'm going to go to Okay, finally it let me close that one. Let me make sure. Options, authentication. Okay. Remote, Webent, clone, and then so this is from. This is going to be where. And then I'm going to local sites, Webent app, public, WP content, themes, WP rig, Webent, WP rig dash Webent, advanced options, clone. You know what? I made a repository already called WP rig. So what I'm going to do, right now, it's just called Webent. Themes, select a folder, clone. Just going to go ahead and add one, WP rig, select this folder, WP rig dash Webent. Oh, I gotta initialize it. Oh my gosh. It's create. That's what I meant to do. Let's create. Themes, WP, rig, dash Webent. And go ahead and capitalize W, capital W, lowercase p, capital rig, dash Webent, create. To continue to create a repository. No, not in this folder. Eesh. Okay. Just keep it themes. There we go. Wait. Create repository on account. Select GitHub, Webent, owner, Webent, description. First iteration of the Webent website. Theme built with WP rig. You know what? I do want to keep WP rig. WP-rig. WP rig. Oops. I'll just keep it all lowercase, all that good stuff. Great. Okay. I've done this 101 times, and for some reason I still, to this day, just get like all sorts of have to initialize and all that. So I do it a different way, typically. But anyways, I'm gonna create an empty folder called wp-rig-webent. Create, browse, wp-rig-webent, select folder. Webent, yep. Create. Why? Rename it back to what it's supposed to be. Select folder. Webent. Into themes. Just call it Webent. Select folder, empty folder. wp-rig-webent. Clone. All right. Now that we got something initialized, I'm just going to take this Git folder and I'm going to pop it in here, because that's really the only thing I really needed. .git. It's down here at the bottom. This is going to say, whoa, wait a second, we lost it. And I'm going to say, sure. Let's add a new one. This time we're actually going to go to themes, wp-rig, select this folder, wp-rig, add. Failed with code 128 fatal, not a Git repository or any of the parent directories. .git. Okay, well, let's close that one. So this is going to have a whole lot of unstaged files. Let's go stage them all. File status, create a commit, initial commit with wp-rig theme files before installing dependencies. Push changes immediately to well, okay. So I can commit it and push them up to the master. And we might see on the WP Rig website, we refresh it, we now have files and such. We even have the README and all that. It's just a clone of WP Rig. Way easier way of doing it. I don't know why. I always seem to get jumbled up with Git. I've been working on it with the Mac. And doing it on Windows is just different. It's weird. Anyways, so we've got all that. I'm going to close Photoshop. I think that might be causing some issues. We have our mock here, our design to sort of remind us what we're going for. Before we get started, we have to install, and that is with a terminal. So we use Microsoft Windows Terminal here, and let me do a search for WP Rig. Just WP Rig. Okay, I didn't want to search mine. I just want to search GitHub. WP Rig. Okay, so here on WP Rigs, I guess could have just gone to mine because it has the same. But to get started, we have the different stuffs. We got to make sure that we have a few dependencies installed. So you have to have PHP, NPM, and Composer. And Composer needs to be installed globally. So you can clone or download this repository to the theme folder via give WP Rig theme directory the same name as your eventual product name. Suggested directory names are WP Rig or WP Rig -theme slug, which I did. Configure theme setting, including the theme slug and name. So the configures, and we updated the slug and the name. Here we've got slug, name, authored, some dev stuff updated. Place your custom theme settings, any local settings. Now in command line, run npm run rig init. So npm. Wait a second. Oh, I got to make sure that we are actually in the WP Rig folder. So I'm going to do CD and then drag and drop. It just let me drag and drop, which is amazing. I'm glad that that was fixed. I think Photoshop had it broken. npm run init. Error. What do you mean? Lint? No. Was that not it? Was it npm run install? Oh, rig init. npm run rig -init. Now it's going to run an install or initialize process. This can take some time. So while that is going, let's go ahead and close that down. I do know of another issue when working with this when it comes to the code being pushed up and trying to view it on development environments, and that is that the git ignores don't push up the actual source material or what gets processed by the source. This typically means that you would have to run a product build and then push that up to a website and then test on that, which is more ideal, but it's more time consuming. And so for me, I would rather be able to just push up my development build, see how things are working from there, and then when ready to actually go with a solid version of the theme build, do a production build, and then use that from that point forward. So I just realized I don't have any meat out for dinner tonight. So I'm going to just click in here and then .git ignore, kind of highlight it. It's right there. So the way that this is already set up for the git ignore is it ignores everything. It just says ignore it all. And then it tells it what not to ignore. I feel like it's a bit backwards, but yeah, you can basically say include everything in specific folders. So I don't know. I'll keep it this way for now, but I might come back and just say, no, I only want to define what not to include. So right here, it's saying everything directly within the assets folder, don't ignore, which is what this exclamation mark at the beginning is. And then it immediately says everything in the assets folder, ignore it. So it's kind of strange. Let's go ahead and see if we jump back over to the git ignore or to the WP rig. Oh, I got a lot going on. If we go to Webent repository, WP rig, we got it all here. When we go into assets, we can actually see what got, so nothing directly in assets, but what about in here? Do we have anything in assets? No, so there's nothing to actually go up. CSS/source, we've got the source files here, editor, but what about so there will be CSS files and JavaScript files directly in JS and directly in CS, and these are all actual CSS files that are being loaded in by the site, but post CSS is putting together, oh, but no, actually none of these are, oh, this is already in source. I just want to see what's in CSS, but there's nothing. So since nothing has been generated, there's nothing there. Interesting. So we'll just have to wait until it's done installing. It's still going. It's got quite a bit done already, but it's got a little ways to go more. Images and sources, placeholder SVG. Okay. All right. All right, it looks like it's done. Let's go back to here. We can then see, oh, that's been updated. So then run rig init to install necessary node and composer dependencies. Run npm run dev to process source files. So now that we've installed it, let's see. There's only one file that's been added that isn't being ignored, and that's the package-lock.json. I can just do it in it package-lock.json. I'll go ahead and commit that. Push it. Why not? Alright. So now we are fully fledged. To get this running, we just do npm run dev. and now we can see it will run the actual first build. And in assets, CSS, a lot of this is going to get filled in. Takes a minute. It's already got some issues with PHP. We haven't done anything with PHP, so these are not our issues. This is just it saying, ho ho. No SSL certificate found, huh? So I can close that. I'm going to go ahead and close this. And close that as well. And we had it opened. I forget where I had it open. I had it opened here. So I'll just pull that down, close that, add that to that. I'm going to add the website over in the right corner, kind of like what we did with Photoshop and Illustrator. Sort of overlap. You know, I'm going to do mobile first, so I'm going to do that right there. And then code doesn't need to take up full width. Come on. There we go. And we're proxying HTTP rig 8181, but it doesn't like HTTPS, I guess. I wonder why it thinks there's no... Huh. Localhost 8181. That's unusual. So, rig assets CSS. Now we have CSS files here, but you see they're grayed out. That means that it's not getting recognized here. So you would have to run a dev in order to actually generate those if you pull it down. I sort of want those to be pushed up as they get updated, because if you pull it down into a project and then just jump straight into that theme, you're not going to have any of the CSS. You're going to have to run dev. And what if you don't have, if you just want to preview it without actually running an init, rig init, or any of that? So I'm going to go into docket ignore. And I'm just going to go ahead and say, don't ignore anything in assets. Don't ignore anything in assets CSS or even JS and even images. I'm going to save that. You can see these all start glowing green. Go to commit, stage all, and updated dot get ignore to include generated CSS, JS, and image files. Push, push. Cool. And you can see now that we have the CSS generated files, we actually see what the site looks like. So we have the header, we've got content, we've got basic setup already laid out, ready to go for blog, for sidebar. And if we customize, actually before we customize, let's add a few pages. I've got a glare on my face from the window. I'll be right back. I'm gonna go adjust the window. Okay, that's a little bit better lighting now, and less glare on my face, except for this glare on the background, but oh well. Okay. Might be a little, my face might be a little hard to see, but oh well. Okay. So I typically like taking the sample page here, since it's got one of the earliest IDs or slugs. It's actually the second post now. It used to be the first back in the days, but I'm going to make this the home page. I'm going to update. And then I'm going to add, oh, actually, whoa, Gutenberg. Oh, this is WordPress 5.5. I have not updated to 5.5 yet, because I read a lot of issues with 5.5. So it's kind of cool seeing some new stuff. That's cool. We're going to go ahead and just use 5.5. Whatever issues it has, we'll work through them along the way. Okay, so taking a quick look, we know that we have our projects, blog, and authors pages. So projects, I'm going to make projects into a custom post type, so that I can then either create page-like posts or posts. Actually, I'm going to make it. Each project is going to be its own page, but then for each page, I'm going to have specific categorized project posts, which I'm going to use custom post types to then populate. But those post types will either pull content from the multi-site network, or it'll have to be manually made on this site each time. Since we're going with the approach of just a single site build for the first iteration, first go, it's all going to be manually inputted here. So, but each project is going to have its own page, but that page can easily pull in posts as well. So it will be kind of like the blog index, but we can add things around and do with it however which way we want. So yeah, anyways, we're just going to give it a name, publish, and then we're going to add another, and projects, blog. Yeah, probably should have did blog before, but whatever. And let's go ahead and turn off full screen mode, turn off spotlight mode, and give us the top bar. Alright. New page. And we have author. Now author is going to also be populated by the user field. So basically going to fill in all the information for user, and then that's going to be its own archive, and then I'll put together all that information. But I also want a page that showcases all of the authors, and that would typically be the archive page, and then there'd be a single author template. But for now, I'm just going to use a page, and replace it later for what's more proper. Okay. So now that I did all that, I can refresh the customizer. I'm going to go ahead and go into menus, create new menu. I call this site navigation. This is always the primary. Add. I'm going to add in project, blog, and then author. Publish. Boom. So you can see this theme already has styles and structure for us to work with. This kind of works with us and against us. Because now there's things to remove, and there's already definitions made, and they may not be the type of definitions that I'm a fan of, and not all of them are. A lot of them I ended up just like, you'll see. So, okay. So now that we're there, we've kind of got enough. Oh wait, no, I'm sorry. We still need to add to our site identity a logo, and this is why we prepared assets. So I'm going to use, I'm going to actually delete that. I'm going to use logo.png. I'm using a PNG instead of an SVG here because WordPress by default doesn't accept SVGs. Well, let's see, actually. Will it take the SVG now? I doubt that they've made it where it accepts SVGs by default. Yeah, see, it won't accept. It only accepts those type of files. SVG is not on the list. So media library, I'm going to select this for the logo, and the crop is being defined by a function. I'm going to skip cropping because I'm not trying to crop it or define a specific dimension for it. And then for the favicon, I'm going to select the same. I'm going to go ahead and actually, it's almost the exact dimensions it needs to be, but I'm going to go ahead and crop that. So now publish, and you'll see this little world icon is going to change, become the logo. Hey, we got logo here. Cool. So we got content. Oh, I always forget. I also got to do homepage settings, and we don't want it to be latest post of the blog index. We want to select a specific page, homepage, and we want to set the posts page to blog. So now the homepage is homepage, and when we go to blog, we've got our blog. Projects is just going to be an empty page. Same with author for right now. Click on Webent, we go back to Webent. I'm going to customize one more time. In site identity, we also have a tagline, just another WordPress site. I'm going to go ahead and delete that because we don't have a tagline in our mockup. Great. So first things first, we're modifying that site header. Let's go ahead and jump into header.php and see what's going on. So first we're calling all the metadata. All is good there. And this WP rig is AMP ready, and AMP basically just removes all the JavaScript, and it's just a pure HTML and CSS site. So a lot of what we're going to be building, I'm going to be building it where it operates with just CSS alone before adding any JavaScript to make it function a little bit more or a little bit better. But all in all, we want to make sure that this site works with just CSS, so that way we can use AMP for much better performance. And we can see here in header, after declaring the metadata, we then start by defining page or ID of page. I feel like page just is like, it's very generic. And header is going to be used for posts as well. So if you go to blog and go into a post, and then we view the source, if we inspect the source code, we can see here it has ID of page, but this is a post. So what's the point of that? I think rather wrapping it in an ID of, let's say, canvas. Yeah, this is the canvas that everything else is going to be on. So I could just update that, hit save, cross my fingers, hope nothing breaks, but that's kind of not a great way of doing that. So instead, I'm going to right click on the theme folder, find in folder, and I'm going to search for hashtag, which stands for ID, and then page. And we can see here that the footer has a definition of this is the end of the page, and just update that to canvas since it's been updated to canvas. That was the only other place where, so that ID isn't being used in anywhere else. But let's just search for page, because maybe there might be a JavaScript where it's saying find by ID page. This is 404 page, 44 page, 500 page, displays page, composer. We don't really need to look at composer.lock, page header, offline. It's a template for pages. I mean, yeah, page is going to be discussed quite a bit. So files to exclude .json, .css. .lock. Yeah, even .php, .md, .txt. Let's see, d3 min.js. Where is this? Oh, this is in the vendor. Files to include, files to exclude. Stop looking. If you trust this version of ESLint, press allow. Otherwise, press do not allow. Press cancel to disable ESLint for the session. I'll allow it. Oh, here we go. jQuery. Nope, we don't care about jQuery.min. This is only in the. Okay, let's copy path. Go into here. Let's files to include. Oops. Anyways, just taking a quick look through these, I don't see any JavaScript files that are in our actual build that we need to worry about, because there's no way that any vendor files should be looking for specific IDs in our build. None that I'm aware of. So if there is any issues with that, oops. So if we go into here and we search in here, find a folder, and look for page, so we can even get rid of all those. So these are the I guess just jQuery is a dependency of one of the vendors. None of these, which these are the minified. Source, customizer, lazy load, and navigation. These are all the JS files that are being loaded in. They're using pure JavaScript, not jQuery. I'm not as good at JavaScript as I am jQuery. jQuery is what I kind of learned. I actually made a lot of effort to avoid JavaScript because of its inconsistencies with browser support and everything. But now with ES6, browser support is pretty much across the board, and it's worth learning, and I really need to learn it a little bit better, especially since I am learning more of React. Even though React is kind of its own JavaScript library and it's its own thing, I find it actually easier than JavaScript. Anyways, we can kind of look through the navigation.js, and we see that it has all these crazy classes. I'm not a huge fan of these either. Like nav dash dash toggle dash sub. Ugh, come on. Really? That's the best you can do with your naming conventions? It's menu item dash dash hag dash toggle. Ugh. Why use dash dash? Set it. Set a key dash and then either camel case or just use single dashes. And if it's menu item, then just do item. If it's menu parent, just use parent, because it's all menu. Like, we know it's menu. It's all inside menu. The UL or the nav should have an ID or a class of menu, and then from there everything else is like obviously associated with menu, because it's .menu space then .menu dash item. Why? You've already got .menu. just dot menu space dot item. There you go. But whatever. Everybody has their own main naming conventions, and the thing is that dot item might be a little bit too ambiguous and can be confused with other things, especially if it's being targeted by itself. So I don't know, menu and then menu dash item. We're gonna just stick with that because that's kind of the more of the go-to. So anyways, we got the header pulling in template parts, header, custom header, branding, and then navigation. So let's go ahead and jump into header. We're going to close vendor. We're going to go open template parts, header, and then custom header. And this loads in figure, the header image. This is part of this customizer option. So if, say, we wanted to have like a header image, not the logo, we could do that here, header image. I personally feel like this belongs outside of the site header and part of the page header, so content header. And so I'm going to do that. I am going to remove it out of this header, and then I'm going to go to, say, page.php, although this by default has page in a optional folder because it's pulling everything in by index. Where's index? PHP. There it is. So everything is being pulled in here. So template parts, content, page header. So that's where I really want it. So template parts, content, and then page underscore header. And I feel like if you are going to have a header image, you want the header image first and then the H1 and all that, because you're probably going to put the H1 and you're going to put it on top of the header image. If not, it makes more sense for it to show up at the bottom of the image. At least I think it does. So we're going to go ahead and do that here. We're going to say, hey, get template part. And we're going to go there. So if I save that, so if WordPress does not exist. Oh, does it? I don't have time to really configure that right now. So, oh wait, sorry. To show what I'm talking about, let's just go into header, add new header image, upload files. And we could kind of use, I'm not going to, but if we wanted to, we could kind of use the line, assets, SVG, oh, that's right, it's all SVG, PNG, that's the only thing that I've, icons, wait a second, okay, yeah. So paint line, just for tests, you can see. And it's wanting me to crop it. I'm going to skip cropping. Publish. You see it's up there by default. It's because I haven't actually saved header.php. If I save header.php, it gets rid of the get template part. It won't be showing up here anymore. Also, we're not on browser sync for some reason. Did this not work? It didn't work. That's right. Hey. No. Well, I'll just go ahead and reload the page manually for now. Would like to get browser sync working. Not too sure why. Oh, you know what? Let's just go to config.default. and let's set HTTPS to true. Was it on false this whole time? Oh wait, no, shoot. That's not the one I want to, this one. Let's try false. Let's cancel, terminate batch, yes. npm run dev. Okay, so well, also, I don't think you're going to see the line unless you're actually on a page. But anyways, let's close out of those. This might not be working because it doesn't actually like its location. That's a real bummer. I'll figure out why browser sync isn't working later. I don't have a lot of time left to be working on this, so, and we haven't really gotten very far yet, fortunately. So I guess just to move on a little bit faster, let's go ahead. In the ink, we have styles and components. This is an object-oriented component where it's going to load and handle a lot of how styles are being worked with in this. And there is a function in here that handles Google Fonts. We got that right here. And so we can actually use this to load in. This is protected. Okay, here we go. So this is where we're going to be loading in our fonts, and we've decided that we wanted, I forget. So let's jump back into Webent. Let's reopen up the mock-up real quick. I know one was like permanent marker. Permanent marker. And really what we need is to just spell it out. Permanent marker. The reason that we can do it this way is because Google Fonts follows a method of how it handles its Google Fonts, and the name is associated to the, close that, is associated with the URL in a specific way. But we do want to know exactly what kind of select this style, and it only comes with regular 400. Huh. Okay. And this, yeah, it's okay, I know. Sheesh. This is a Marienda. Fonts. And we are using just regular. Closing that, not saving it because I didn't do anything that I actually wanted to save. And that. And this has got 400 and 700. So we'll load those. As far as this one, it only had regular, which I believe is 400, yeah. So those are the two we've got, but we're gonna need one for content. And I've got typically a go-to, which is Open Sans. I'm gonna use Open Sans just for now, and we'll probably update Open Sans at a later time. But let's see. Open Sans 400, 400i, and then I guess we'll do bold, and then extra bold. So 700, and then 800. I don't think we're going to do bold and italic. If we do, you should probably add them there. But I don't want to add too much weight with the fonts. I think that is more than enough fonts to be working with. Now, the thing is that fonts are going to be broken on our site now, because it won't know. Oh, wait, is this actually running? Yeah, it's running. Okay. It won't know what fonts to actually talk to, so it's loading basic system fonts now. And this is because now that we're loading these fonts instead of the old fonts, we'll jump out of those. We can go up to get out of template parts, go to assets, CSS. Let's go ahead and close JS for now. Go to source, and in here we have all of our source files and everything. I'm going to create a folder. I'm going to say header. Do another folder, content, and new folder, footer, new folder for posts, and another folder for pages. And I am going to take blocks, which loads in custom properties. Actually, before going any further, custom properties is where we hold all of our variables. So this is where we're going to update our global font family to Open Sans. Font color of, let's just stick with black for now. Highlighted, we're going to do, I should have kept the other one open. Include styles components. Double click it so that it stays open. I'm going to do Marienda for highlights. And then we'll keep it Helvetica and Arial. Those are system fonts. Well, they might be. If they're not, then it'll get skipped all the way down to sans serif. Yeah, typically those are in, but drop down symbol width. See, this is things that are like, why? But we'll adjust all this as it becomes more relevant. Global font line height, 1.3 M is what I prefer. Well, 1.35 is what I kind of prefer. I'm going to save. So when I save, it's going to run the build, the dev build. It's done. You can reload. Boom. Now we don't want this to be Marienda, which is the highlight font. So we need to set another and headline or header font family. Actually, let's just do a site header. font family, because that's the only place that I'm going to be using permanent marker. And if that fails, try Merienda. If that fails, go ahead and do what highlight is doing. Finish that off. Save. We've added the variable, but we're not using it. We need to, so if we right click this and inspect, and we got this here, we can see that it's global.css on line 225. So we can go to global, scroll down to 225. Find the font family here, it's calling the variable, and swap it out for the one that we just made. Make sure that it's surrounded by parentheses. Oh yeah, it's not browser sync. Shazam. Alright. And we know by our mockup that I closed, should have taken a little bit of time to convert it from Photoshop to XD because it just runs so much smoother on XD. But oh well. So this is where we have header is in global. I prefer it to be in its own file, but for now I'm gonna keep it as it is. So if we come back to the home page, oof, the ending of that song was rough. So masthead, site header, we're using the class. I am going to define a display of flex. Flex direction, row, flex wrap. We're going to go ahead and let it wrap. And justify content, space between each other. And then I also am going to create new properties. This is going to be padding wrappers. Now, oh, geez, stupid Mac commands. Okay. These are going to be variables that are used at different breakpoints to define how the padding is going to be handled. I don't like to use wrappers to confine things to a specific width. I like to use padding because sometimes I like to give the background a color, and that color spread to the far reaches. And if I don't, then I will just define it to be a max width and use margins. Using wrappers, I feel, is just very... there's no need for it, so why have that added HTML? And when you have wrappers upon wrappers and everything, and you use that mindset, it just gets very, very sloppy in the HTML structure itself. I prefer using just wrappers, or just padding for wrappers. So on mobile, we could just do like mobile padding and our mobile wrap padding, and define it as something like I don't know, 3.5 m, and then we got we got desktop wrap padding, which could be maybe 5 m, and then we have max wrap padding, which is a calculation of the max width, which is here, content width. So shoot, we can't, I don't think we can use this variable in a calculation when defining the next variable, or I think we can. Let's see what we can do. So I will call for a variable content width. The actual calculation is 100% page, right, minus the content width divided by 2, because it's going to be on both sides. So we only want half of what that padding actually would be. We save, and we can come back here to global, and we can go, we've got padding bottom. Let's go padding top 0, padding left, var dash mobile mobile wrap padding. I'm gonna go ahead and just copy and paste it, change left to right, and then we're going to call out a media query. Now this by default does media queries later. You can't stand it. I like to do media queries directly where what is being modified, so that all of its versions and everything are declared in one spot. So I am just going to do that here, and those are being handled by custom media here. So if we come into this and we say the wide menu query, which I am going to be renaming at some point, but for now I'm going to just use it so that I can move on. That's basically saying once it's gone out of its menu, mobile layout, and entered tablet or desktop or whatever comes next, new styles. And I am going to do padding left and right, but instead of mobile, I'm going to do desktop. That's what I named it, right? Desktop, yeah, desktop wrap. Desktop. And then I'm going to do it again, but this time I'm going to use a custom media for content query, because this is once it's reached its max. So the 48M is the same as the content width of 45 rem. Where is it? Well, we'll see. I may need to change that. So content query. Now we're going to use max wrap. Save. Let me see header here. Oh, that's right. No browser. So refresh the page. Site header. I think it's having an issue with something. Styles, CSS syntax error, and plugin gulp post CSS. Custom editor colors. Oh, yeah. So it doesn't like this using a var when in the root when defining vars. So we're just gonna have to make sure that we use the same 45 rem. And now it seems to be running fine. I think that's from the first time the error showed. To global. No display flex, huh? Yeah, it's still having an issue. Custom properties. Missed semicolon. Oh, line 23. Aye. So let's actually, it was missing a semicolon. Let's see if it actually does work with the variable content width. There we go. Finished. So refresh. That moved over because we're now using display flex. And as you can see, it's got 5 rem, which is a bit much. Okay. But if we activate mobile and we go down, you can see it also has a menu, which, boom, it's already set up the way. It has some magical stuff going on with it already. We're going to be doing a lot with that. But we can see we've got a header, or wrapping, 70 pixels. Let's actually turn that down a bit. So we actually want this to be more like, instead of 70, 3.5. Let's do 1.75, so it's 35 pixels. And then this will be 3.5, 70 desktop. Refresh. Alright, 35. Cool. Now we got site branding with a bunch of padding, which is annoying. So site branding, it's in here. I'm just going to give it a padding of 0. And we're also going to give it a display of flex as well. We're going to refresh it. You can see now it's justify content space evenly, flex wrap. Actually, we don't want it to wrap, so no point in changing that. Align items center. You can see it's gonna blop blop. As is with our desktop layout, we want them next to each other. I'll refresh this, they're right next to each other. So we're going to tell site branding to be a width. I don't know why it would put padding. I like to have like padding and everything up at the top, and then margin up at top as well. Okay. Wait. For some reason it's like holding Alt down. Okay. Padding 0. Let's do a width of 100%. And a padding of right, so top, right, left. I meant padding of left of, let's say, 50 pixels, because we're going to position this menu button to the left. We want to give it some space. Also, we're going to justify content with flex start, so that Webent comes right up against the logo. You see menu's been pushed down. That's because there's not enough space and it's been wrapped down. This is global 405, so let's go to 405. Now, we got all this margin. Just do margin 0. Top right might be auto, sure. Then the rest would be 0. Actually, yeah, okay. So we don't want that to have any margin. What we do want is for this button to sort of float. For it to float up here. And in fact, I'm going to split this code. I don't need to see any of the other files. I'm going to go to site branding. I'm going to adjust this to actually be a bit more site branding. For some reason it doesn't have its padding there. Padding top right. Oh. Type right, bottom left. So now padding will be on the left side. It'll push everything a little bit more. Also flex start. Why isn't that working? Flex start. Oh, it's because this has got a huge margin. And that's got a margin of auto. So this is on 232. Top right, just 0 all around. And then we also have site title 246. Zero. Oops. Okay, well, we'll do a lot more with that later. The site title we could do, we've already updated that, but let's make the size, I believe it was 75. Font weight, 400. Line height, no point in being more than 1 em. M for property line height. What, it doesn't like M? I've always used M's for line height. Whatever, just 1. This color should be from variables. Just use variable theme black for now. And let's actually align items to the bottom, because that's kind of more where they properly align. This is site header. No, this is site branding, which is 237. So align items. Bottom, I think, is the name. I really wish freaking browser sync was working. I've had it working before, so I know I can get it to work. I just don't know what I'm doing wrong. So bottom isn't correct. Baseline, that's what it is. Yeah. Now we can actually give this a little bit of a push up so that it goes just nuzzles right where I want it. So top, right, bottom, 25 pixels. Hey, padding. Can I use? Well, we'll stick with baseline for now. Let's give this a bit more padding. To the left, let's give it a padding 75 instead. Alright. Now, for this, inspect this button. Nav is going to go So right now it just pushes content down, right? But I guess we're going to keep it that way for now, just for sake of simplicity. So what I'm going to go ahead and do is make nav full width. This is 405. Margin 0. Padding 0. Display block, clear both. Max width. Yeah, that doesn't make any sense. It's never gonna get that big. Width 100%. Give it a position of relative. We can probably close that now. Menu toggle 275. Why would it be 275? So it shows right here what line in the file it's at, so 275. So we go up to 275. Yep, nav toggle. See, the CSS is a bit jumbled and all over the place, straight out of the box. It's a bit annoying, but it is what it is, right? So nav toggle small. Why do I care about nav toggle small? Alright. I think it's saying on small breakpoint, this is the menu toggle for this. Anyways, so since we gave this a position of relative, we're going to give this a position of absolute. We're going to get rid of margin. Padding, we're going to go ahead and keep it the same, but font family, we're going to do a I don't really want to define a font family. We want to just do Arial because we are also going to make it a size of 0. We're not going to text transform it. We're going to give it a color of transparent. So we are hiding menu, but we aren't doing a display none. It'll still show up on screen readers. What we are left with is this tiny little button, which is based on its borders. So we're going to add to the padding. And we are going to say padding of 15 pixels in all directions. So that's going to make it a 30 by 30. Well, actually 34 by 34 if you include the borders to the size, right? And then from here I'm just going to play. I'm going to kind of make it a little bigger. Yeah. Okay, so now we're going to use one of our first SVGs. We're going to go into media, go into assets, icons, hamburger, I'm going to open up a Svg Encoder Tool. And there's also Svg compressor. No. Svg compression. Nope. There we go. These are the two I like. So I am going to make a folder, call them tools. Move it over. I already have a folder called tools. I'm going to go ahead and delete that. I've already got them in there. Okay, well, I'm going to move tools over here to the right because this is where I see my folders more. That's where my eyes just kind of go. So I am going to change this to open with, choose another app. Ugh. I'll look for another. Sublime. This is what I like to use Sublime Text Editor for, is just open up, get quick code, and just shrink it down so that it doesn't keep opening up so huge. Yeah, something like that. And then you just paste the markup in here. It gives you a slightly smaller SVG. Copy that, go in here to the encoder, insert it there, ready for CSS. I go ahead and close Sublime, jump back into here, and instead of a background of transparent, I'm going to delete that and have a background image, which is this SVG. And then I'll just go ahead and define background, repeat, repeat, oh my gosh, background, position, center, background, size, let's do about 80%, save, come back over here to Webent. Let's see, we can also, since we got it absolute positioned, we want to do a bottom of 100%. So position, bottom 100%, but we want it more than 100%. We want it to kind of nuzzle up here, but we don't know exactly how much percentage that's going to be. So we're going to actually do a calculation. We're going to calc at 100. Oh gosh. Every time my fingers just automatically hit the Windows button when I want to do home or end. 100% plus, let's say 35 pixels. I did it again. Right. Let me refresh. We're going to see a hamburger in here. It's a bit smaller because I forgot to adjust this to be more like 20. So bottom, calc 100% plus 35 pixels. Let's do right back there. And let's pump that up. I think 35 is the golden. Let's not go so high. About right there. 55, 35. So we want to 55 and 35. Save that. Refresh. And it's going to do shit. When we click it, it's going to show and hide. Okay. Now we also wanted to have a line underneath. We're going to add that to the header. So site header class is 202. Close that now. Go up to 202. And under here, Just give it a background image like we did with the hamburger. Open this, not socials. Go back, SVG, paint line, open with, sublime text. That is a lot. So we are going to optimize first. And it went from 5K to 5.2K. Yeah, so without word wrap, with word wrap on, it saves us from seeing all that block, but it becomes a pain. Just sometimes I like having word wrap on. Background, repeat, no repeat. Position, background, position, bottom, center. Background, size, contain. Well, background size, we want it to be like 90%. We'll see. Let's refresh, see where this has come along. So you see this bottom padding, that's going to become, or that's where that background image, the SVG background image, is going to be used for the line. And we see now it's just below and it gets pushed down. Now, we didn't really want it that way, but we're going to keep it that way for now. Yeah, the fancier stuff I could do, I'm going to do later. But again, I'm getting pretty short on time, and I got to do what I can do now. So, I definitely want to move this up a little bit. So I want the A to also have a line height proper. So global 260. Text decoration, line height, inherit. So basically whatever this line height is, the A tag should have the same. I keep forgetting no browser sync. One. Odd. Display, block, position, relative. Sometimes. Okay. And margin, top right 25, just pushes things down. So what if I do a top of negative 25 pixels? Doesn't affect where that actually is positioned. Let's try flex end. Okay. So baseline isn't the same as flex end. Yeah. Flex end is what I'm looking for. So site branding, line items, flex end, and then site title. I can give it a bottom margin, top right bottom of, let's do 25 pixels. Yeah. And let's see. The thing is as this goes down, the logo will adjust, but nothing else. And as the logo adjusts, that hamburger gets messed up. Also, desktop looks pretty funky now, so we got to make sure that we fix those. So what I'm going to do is, for site title, I'm going to give it a font size of 40, and then at media, let's do media query here. And then we're going to update the font size to from 40 to 75. So a 40 is going to be significantly smaller. Let's try 55 actually. It's also this button. I'm not digging on that border and everything. So 287. So border, none. And then also background color, none. Or actually transparent. Let's nudge him down to 25. Since that changed, we can also change this down to 25. Okay. Cool. Now we just have a random flying hamburger. A lot of people may not realize what that's all about, but so I could put in the dividers, but again, running out of time. So let's just quickly fix it on desktop. So I'm going to go ahead and boom. Now we're on desktop and it is freaking out. So site branding needs to be fixed first. Well, header ID. Oof. So min 37, and then it does the calculation at 48 M. Ugh. So that's because it's not using the same as the max content of 45 rem. 45 rem. Just update that. So I'm not actually sure what 45 times 16 is. 720. Okay, well, that's not right. Yes, it is. Oh, this is already being handled with grid, as it is. Canvas is. Great. Well, I'm going to have to modify that as well, but not going to worry about it right now. So, immediate queries and all that, that's going to be a lot more extensive customization. So, for now, for site header, I'm just going to get rid of this content padding right here where it uses that max. I'm not worrying about it. Alright, in a second, there's just so much more that needs to be modified. So I'm going to go ahead and... Alright. So it fixes that. We wanted it to look like this. So now that we are outside of the mobile, we got more padding, and we want to adjust. We're going to get rid of that left padding on site branding. So I'm going to grab this media query here. I'm going to go site branding, paste it in. I'm going to say padding left 0, and I'm going to also keep justified content, yes, but oops, refresh. Site branding needs width adjustment. So now width is auto or initial, which I think is going to give it a width of auto. Navigation also needs an update. And navigation is 424. Down to 424. Get rid of the padding because I think it's already got a padding of 0. Just give it that width of initial. Basically, if we change that here. Yeah, and we do want to this is 216, so I'm going to go 216 on the left and go back down to 4 or whatever. 216 line items flex end. Put it down, put these down at the bottom. And then we want to give the navigation bottom padding, or a margin bottom 25 pixels, a little less, 20 pixels, 15 pixels looks good. All right, look at that. We got our site header essentially set up. We've got it responsive. If it can't fit, it'll just drop down below that, which in my opinion looks fine. And then on mobile, it becomes a hamburger. And you know, that pops it up, pops it down. All right, that's a good place to stop. And before we stop though, we do want to take all our assets, everything that we've worked on, and push it up. So I am going to give it a commit message of modified site header with site branding and site nav alignment and some SVG elements added. Commit, push, push. Final step from here now is to just publish it online, which I think I'm going to hold off on doing that live stream. I think I'm going to do that off stream, but you can catch the updates at webent.net. Right now, all you would see is this, which is basically the beginning of WP Rig, just basic installation, showing icons, showing title, and showing some nav. I'm going to go ahead and just update this. Real quick, I guess I could do one little bonus, although I don't really have it ready yet. I was going to say adding that canvas background, but I got to export that canvas image, the repeated image, and then assign it in. And I also want to install ACF fields so that we can actually define a lot of these things in the back end so that they can be modified per site and not hard baked into the CSS code. So I think I'm going to actually save that for the ACF fields integration. But for now, I am going to have to call it where it's at so that I can get my night prepared and ready for work tomorrow and school and everything. So thank you for following along. I know it took a little while for us to actually dive into the code, and once we did, I got a little quiet. I was a little bit more focused on just trying to like crack it out real quick. But you know, this isn't really a tutorial stream. This is more of like a build along. I'll be doing tutorial streams in the future where I intend to go into deep depth into everything that I'm doing and really try to explain and jump into documentation and really get like over all of the details. But for this, it's just a build along. Keep an eye on webent.net. It'll be getting updated with this new design and everything. And I appreciate you all for following and watching. And I shall be setting up a schedule within the next week or two where I will be sticking to it. My goal is to stream at least 3 days a week, Monday through Friday, weekends if possible. But I also have a full-time job, and I am back in school, so I've got homework and stuff of in that nature. And I'm also recently married and have relationship and family things to manage as well. Not to mention apartment to clean and manage and food to cook, to eat and whatnot. So yeah, there's a lot there. I appreciate you for tuning in. I will be back with more, and this will be a regular thing from this point forward. Thank you all, and have a great day. Bye-bye.